Having gone slowly, we feel that the change has become more sustainable and embedded. For the change to come about at our school to improve in our literacy, the principal played a crucial role in that. He participated as a learner. He conducted the literacy walks with myself and was there learning with us as part of the team, and also instilling that motivation to bring about change in our literacy learning and teaching. He encouraged teachers and helped build that capacity in them to lead in this learning and in this change to improve.
So with the guiding principles, once we did come up with our statements, now this is not something that happened at one meeting. We came to it over and over and over throughout the year. So it was a year-long process to get to one final document of what our guiding principles for literacy learning were going to be. What happened along the way is that our teachers, once we had some statements, that came back to our PLTs and we were able to scribble over them and add what we wanted to add, because of course it's only till you walk away from something that you're able to really process what you've heard at that meeting or what you've been saying. We then actually had some peer observations where the teachers had the learning principles in front of them, and we wanted to see, well, is this living in our classrooms? Is it just something that we've written on paper, or is it actually active? Is this what the children are really involved in? So each team was involved in that. It was a whole day PD. Basically the morning was spent doing literacy walk. Then we came back and had a PLT and we really cross-checked our guiding principles. Were we happy with these? Is this what we were doing? Is this what was active in our school? And then we had some planning time. Now from those we were able to come together again, and it was another unpacking of those statements, and then finally we came to our final document, which is not final, because we know that anything that's worth using has to be revisited and added to, maybe something taken away to. So really, in order to go fast, we had to go slow, and it did. It took a whole year to get to that final end product. We did dedicate time to literacy PLTs throughout the year, and that continues to happen, and it continues to be a priority. So it's not that because SIL is over, it's something that's put on the back burner. So literacy is still a high priority at our school.
Our data was suggesting that our children could read, but not necessarily reading for meaning. So our inquiry was that our prep team were to really focus on the idea of reading for meaning and not just decoding words. So when we looked at our data, in particular our running records, the teachers were doing their running records on a regular basis, but not necessarily spending that time to analyse them. So time was put into really analysing the running records in different contexts, and I think it was more about having that professional dialogue and conversation with each other as well, and looking at the child as a reader as opposed to the text level. With our reading recovery teacher, we unpacked our running records both in various contexts, in a planning context as well as in PLTs. So we looked at the different conventions and ensured that we did have shared understandings around what the marks were and the purpose behind those marks. Also with the running records, there was time put into unpacking the errors and analysing those errors as to why the child was making those mistakes. So the conversation started to centre around what reading is and reading for meaning. The teachers were looking at the data, or looking at their students from the strengths model as opposed to from a deficit model. There's also been a focus on building teacher capacity, and part of building teacher capacity was building the learning culture of the school. And this was really evident in our planning sessions, where the teachers were really reflecting on their practice and asking questions to develop their practice. But you could see that over time there was a real shared ownership of what was actually happening within their classrooms. As a leader, there was lots to think about in the scope of Prep to 6 as to what we could focus on. So it was quite challenging for myself, because I thought to myself, well, I'm only really focusing on the prep years here, but I did realise that it was better to spend the time with the prep teachers and laying those solid foundations, and really developing the inquiry of reading for meaning and going deeper, as opposed to implementing something that wasn't really going to sustain any change.